I'm so excited. My December Daily 2024 album is finally finished and I get to share it with you. This is probably the longest I've ever taken to finish an album. I'm just gonna prop this up here so that you can see it better without so much glare on it. This is a 10 by 8 from Ali Edwards. That's the binder that I'm working in. And changing sizes definitely was a little bit of a learning curve this year and definitely ended up taking me a little bit longer than I had expected. But I'm very excited about how this turned out. So let's go ahead and just dive in and I'll share with you kind of the bits and pieces as we go through. I did get a couple things from Ali Edwards' December Daily collection. She is the originator of December Daily as the project. She's been doing it since 2007. This one is actually my 11th album. So I've done it quite a few years and those albums have looked very different over the years. I do have a playlist and I will link that down below for you if you want to go check out some of my other December dailies. They've definitely changed a lot over the years. Right now I'm in the season of life where I have a ton of photos. And so this is definitely a photo heavy project, and especially in this size. I used the Season of Green and Gold from Stampin' Up. That was a collection from last year, and that's where all of this greenery is from. This is actually die cut from the pattern paper, which I love that feature when the dies match the paper and you can just cut it out and it's perfectly colored, like you took time to stamp several layers and emboss gold highlights and stuff, but it's really you're just die cutting the paper. I created this December title on the Cricut using one of Ali Edwards' cut files. And I layered that up with a couple of offsets in white and green. This picture is from the Polar Express. We did the Polar Express train, which isn't too far away from us. And I have another whole page on that as well with more pictures because that was so much fun. So that is my intro page. It was actually the last thing I did. I took all the greenery that I had left as well as die cutting some extra to do that page. All right, hopefully the angle is okay for you guys. It's the best way that I can show it without getting a ton of glare off of my filming lights and having it bright enough so you can actually see all the colors and the details. These pages are 10 by 8, like I said, so I love the opportunity to include photo enlargements. This is a 6 by 8 photo. Love it. The antlers, the nose. This was the beginning of Isabella's advent calendar. You see she's got her little bear there with her. We're in the car because we were running out to the store and she insisted on getting to wear what she'd gotten in her advent calendar, her nose and her antlers. She insisted on wearing those out to the store and of course everyone loved it. She got so many comments and people waving at her and she just loved it. Absolutely loved it. It was adorable. So of course that had to be my first story in here. I have more of those greenery sprigs. You're going to see a lot of those throughout this whole album. And then I have the stamp. This is an old one from Close to My Heart. And then I have this piece of paper here. So the other collection that I did bring in was the Season of Elegance. This one is actually still available this year. So it's this gorgeous paper. It has like a very painterly, kind of looks like oil painting on the other side. And then it has lots of gold in it. And this one, I'm so glad they carried it forward because this will probably also match my project this year. So I can use some of these leftovers in there, but aren't those just gorgeous? So you'll see some of this mixed in throughout the album because the paper collection I used had green and gold in it and very vanilla, which is like a cream shade, but it didn't have any red. So that's where I brought in my pops of red. And then I have my journaling. I always try and fit in room for journaling. Sometimes it's a lot, sometimes it's a little. And then here on this page, I actually created a template in Canva so that I could drop in my pictures. And I used this page design later on in my album as well. And I think it's probably one I'm going to reuse because spoiler alert, this year I am also going to do a 10 by 8. I really struggled with the decision of doing 6 by 8 or 10 by 8, but I loved having the larger photos. And so I'm going to do 10 by 8 another year and then we'll reevaluate for the year after that and see maybe go back to a 6 by 8. But if you love taking like really beautiful photos or you have a ton of photos, I think this size is excellent, especially if you print at home and you can print photo enlargements. If you're just printing from like a photo lab, maybe not so much. You might want to stick with a smaller size, like a 6x8. Here I have a die cut, it says Fa La La. This is an old Close to My Heart one. These bells are die cut from the same green and gold collection. All my numbers are the same. I have a die cut green banner, a cream banner that has gold accents on it. So I used my Spectrum Noir metallic paint pens and did borders. I also worked it in here and there to add little gold accents to things. This story was all about decorating our tree. I almost always have a story about decorating the tree. The advent calendar, it just looks different every year. One thing that I thought was interesting is that when we put up our tree, all the lights were working. By the time we get to Christmas Eve, the bottom section, the lights are out. And I was wondering if I'd put up the tree and hadn't noticed that it was missing all those lights. But looking back at my pictures, I realized sometime during the month, the lights must have burnt out. So time to add some more lights to the tree, I think. All right, here we have Isabella's last day of dance. I worked in stamp from my collection. It says, "Life is better when you dance." And I cut these all in circles. I had the deckled edge circles and then plain circles for the photos. Kind of looks like ornaments, and then my greenery sort of cascading through the whole page. And then you see I have these bows here. I actually have little tags in here that have my journaling on them. And let's see, pull that out, QR code. Because I took video, I was able to watch her little dance performance and I took a video of it. So I did that last year where I started to try and work in some QR codes. I want to continue on that this year and continue to do more QR codes because it makes looking through the albums so much fun when you can just scan it and watch the videos that go along. On day 4 here, I am showing my little Christmas display, a picture I painted, the advent calendar that I made. We've used these for several years. I made them several years ago. I did quite a bit of Mink in this album. So if you're not familiar with a Mink, it's a foiling machine. You print things out on a toner printer, so a laser printer, and then you can put foil on them, put them through the Mink machine, and then you have foiling. And it's really pretty. I got back into it this year, and I'm going to bring that again out this Christmas. I do recommend if you're doing things like that, it's really nice to do like a batch. Because when you're just working on individual pages, if you're anything like me, you don't want to take the time to stop and, just deal with that. You want to just keep going in your creative flow. So I did a whole bunch of printing one day, then I did a whole bunch of Mink application one day, and that worked really well because then I could just reach into my stash, grab what I needed, and it was ready to go. Here I did an interactive element. So this is actually outside the page protector. I have a couple of poinsettias out of that paper, the Seasons of Elegance paper, all my greenery and my letter. This slimline die here is from Close to My Heart. It's actually a card die, but I use it a ton in my scrapbooking, and it does pop up a little bit later as well. So this piece is just folded in half. I have another little minked sentiment here, and then all of my journaling. This is the advent calendar I got for myself. And then pictures of Isabella opening her advent calendar. It's a highlight of the month for her. And I thought it'd be fun for me to have a little highlight. And so I got the Spellbinders Stitchmas calendar. And actually some of those pieces I did stitch and are in this album. So I'll show you that as we go. And I'm excited because this year I have the Stampin' Up calendar to look forward to. I'm ready for December 1st. I do love this page design with the 4-inch 4x10 pockets. Try and hold it so you can see it without much reflection. This was just a beautiful shot on a misty morning. You probably can't even see it that well. Let's see if I lift this up. There, you can kind of see it a little bit better there. And I stamped right on my photo. That beautiful moments is a close to my heart stamp. And then I did a currently page. So currently playing, drinking, loving, eating, embracing, buying, singing, making. So this is all foiled. I did that through the Mink. I believe I got these all from Ali Edwards Digitals. And then I put them on the card with the way I wanted them, printed it out, and then foiled that. And then I just hand wrote in. I'm not crazy about my handwriting, but I do like including it because it is my handwriting. So this is actually all one day. And this page design has 2 6x4s and 2 4x4s. So I use a lot of portrait photos. I take a lot of portrait photos. So I printed them out as 3x4s so I could put 4 pictures in there. So this spread altogether has 6 photos. So that's what I mean about photo heavy. Definitely a lot. Another minked card here, some of the pattern paper and the die cuts as well. Over here for day 6, I have added some Stampin' Up! Die cuts that were released last year, the little ephemera packs, circle from Spotlight on Nature die set. That's what's holding my journaling. And then I have a little bit of decoration over here. This was a portrait photo as well, so I just cut it down and that left me some room for decorating. I have some cookies and peppermints and sprigs here at the bottom. In that Seasons of Green and Gold, there was also a specialty pack of vellum that had vellum greenery as well as this like white speckly vellum. And I did some die cutting out of that as well. This page is all about this little hot cocoa bar that I made for Isabella. She loved playing with it and pretending to make hot chocolate for us. And Frankie was trying to get up into my lap and have some hot cocoa while we were playing together. Here is another minked piece. This is a digital from Ali Edwards. I don't remember what year it's from because she's done a lot of years of product, and all the digital products you could still buy off of her site. So I minked that. And then on this side, we have the fireworks. The beginning of December, our town always has fireworks, Santa Claus parade. They light up the winter village. And it's just a fun evening to go out and be a part of it. And Isabella loves fireworks. So here are the dies from the Stitch Miss calendar that I was talking about. So I did stitch that as well as the little Santa that's on this side. This part is outside the page protector. So this does not have page protector on it. Flip up and then just some pictures from the parade. The Grinch riding a cow, you know, normal things like that. Oh, small town life, right? You never know what you're going to find walking down the street. And here is, I love this shot. I hope I could get this without so much. It's hard with the dark photos to not get so much reflection. But I love this size. This is, again, the 4x10. And we are walking behind the fire trucks at the end of the parade. So it was almost like we were in the parade, but you know, as the parade ends, everyone kind of fills into the street to follow it down to where the fireworks are. And so we were just walking down the middle of the street behind the fire truck, and I thought that shot looked really cool with all the people on the sides there. Then I have my journaling and my little stitched Santa piece here. And then we'll flip over to the next one. We went to a local greenhouse and they had beautiful displays. They had like a little market, things for sale. So we just did some shopping and looking around. She wanted to wear her little antlers again, so got a cute picture of us together. And just, you know, doing Christmassy things, being out and enjoying the season. Not every story is like this big, massive story or super exciting, but I love capturing these little moments and seeing not only how things change year to year, but also how they stay the same. And right now it feels like she's changing so quickly. I definitely want to capture all of those things. You guys are enjoying this. I just want to let you know that this is a collaboration with a couple of the creative design team members. Erin's video is already up, and I believe Julie's video is going up today. So I will leave the playlist linked at the end of this video so you can check out their projects. Theirs are both 6x8, so if that's more your size, you'll get some good inspiration there. Now over here on this page, I have another 6x8 photo, and then I also fit in a 3x4. I have another minked piece. Both of these are minked digital pieces from Ali Edwards. And then I have a little sled die here from Stampin' Up! From last year. And this is a tag. It does pull out. I just need to still create my slit in my page protector. I just have not done that yet. I kind of forgot all about it. Worst comes to worst, I can go in from the top and grab it, but I will cut a slit so that it can easily move in and out because I do have a video. This picture right here is of us sledding and going down the hill, and I took a picture, or I took a video of us as we were sliding down, and she's squealing, and it is awesome. So I put a QR code on there as well. Now we have some baking. We were making gingerbread men together, all of us, and I did a cut file. I believe this one was from Paige Evans, and I did back it. You can see I have cardstock behind here. I have some gold foil behind here. So I backed it and stuck it on there with my photos. Makes for a pretty simple page once you get this part of it done. And then on the facing page, this is all the same story. So once in a while I do that where I have a double page spread. I didn't do it a ton. I try to stick to like 1 page per day, but sometimes you just have more photos that you want to use. And so I have that on here. I love this shot of Isabella and Daddy cutting out the cookies together. And then I have the journaling printed right on the photo. The journaling turned out a little bit on the small side. I can still read it in person, but it is a little small. Sometimes when you print your journaling on your photos, you have to do a couple prints in order to get the sizing of it correct, because it's hard to tell on the screen. I did some more stitching. This one is actually a stitching file from Paige Evans, and then I stuck on little gold heart embellishments from Stampin' Up, and then these little bows that I cut out from a die using red glitter paper. I love this page, and I really love stitching. These are pages that I worked on throughout the month, and then they were ready when I was going to make my album. I would recommend doing that if you want to do anything that's very labor intensive, whether it's like coloring images with alcohol markers or stitching. I would definitely recommend doing that ahead of time. Now this is something, this just reminds me, I need to put it on my list for this year, is doing an interview. This is a digital from Ali Edwards, and it has a bunch of questions that you can ask, and then also you ask your kid to draw a self-portrait. So this was her little self-portrait, and her drawing has changed so much this year. I'm excited to see what she draws this year, but this will be a repeat. And I just chose a cute photo that I had. Printed that out at the full size of the page. So I think this works out to like a 4x8, right around there, maybe it's slightly wider, but it makes for a very simple page. And it's nice to have some of these that are a little bit more simple and can come together a little bit faster. I have some red glitter paper on there, some puffy gold numbers for the year, and that's really it. So a very simple page to pull together next to a page that took me much longer. So this is our Polar Express story. Isn't that photo just adorable? Oh my goodness. So cute. And I kept it very simple. I have I minked in red. So it has red foil on it. Believe in Magic fits perfectly with this. And then I put in just a little bit of greenery. This is a 6x8 page. The fun thing about Ali Edwards albums is that you can do all different sizes. She has 3x8s, she has 6x8s and a bunch of configurations, and then all of the 10x8s in different configurations as well. So you really have a lot of options, and this year I do want to work in more 6x8s into my album because it does speed things up, especially when I use sketches. So I think for most, if not all, of my 6x8 pages that are in this album, I use the CDT sketchbooks. These are digital downloads, and they are such a great way. You can see some of the sketches on the front here. All the measurements are on them, so you really don't have to think. You pick your paper, you cut it to the size, and you stick it down. And if you want a fast way to do your December daily, this is the way. We have changed the cover art on this one now so that it's not just Christmassy, because these can be used for any kind of 6x8 album. We have 2 volumes that are 6x8, and they just make things so much easier. I did get them bound at Staples so that I could use them very easily, and they would look nice sitting on my shelf. But you can also use them by like looking at them on your computer or printing them off, putting them in a binder, something like that. So I'm just gonna tilt this so you can see the back of that 6x8. I have more of that Season of Elegance paper. I just think that looks so pretty. Look at that when the light catches it, beautiful. Another minked little phrase strip there, and then more strips down here. We took our friend Michelle with us, so it was the 4 of us on the train. And it was wonderful watching Isabella just be amazed by everything. Everything is magical, right? So here is a shot of the train coming in. Now, the thing that is not captured in the photos is how bitterly cold it was. It was so cold. We were wearing pajamas because that's the thing you do when you go on the Polar Express. You wear your pajamas. But man, I should have been wearing like 3 layers under those pajamas because it was so cold. And it was like a biting wind. That was the worst. If it hadn't been so windy, it would have been fine. But it was like a biting, icy wind. And we could not wait to get on the train, have our hot cocoa and our cookies, and just warm up a little bit. So we have the train coming in. They had a beautiful big Christmas tree all decorated in front of where the train stopped. And then the actors on the train, like they play along with the whole storyline. So it's like you're riding on the Polar Express. So they had a guy acting the hobo. He came along and gave my husband some sock coffee, and my husband was such a good sport. He just played along. There was an actual sock in that coffee pot. It was so gross. And he was just such a good sport. He didn't drink it, obviously, but he played along with the whole thing. And Isabella was just kind of amazed by it. It was really cute. She's like, "You're not going to drink that, are you?" So we have journaling down there in that circle. This is a story that will be going into a big album. It just has not been done yet because if you guys watch my channel, you know I avoid doing the really special stories for some reason. I'm trying to force myself to make sure I do those special stories sooner, but it seems to be one of those things that I just kind of automatically put off because it's so special. I don't know. It's a stumbling block for sure. On our next page here, I have another minked card on here. I have some tree die cuts down here, as well as another minked little strip. And then I have a flip flap. So let's pull this down so you can see this here. So that's where my journaling is. This is another minked card. I told you I did a lot of mink on this project. And it is hiding more photos underneath. On this day, Daddy took Isabella shopping and let her go crazy picking out ornaments. So many ornaments that we had to get a new tree to put them on. So now we have a tree upstairs that we never had before because her color scheme did not match with our original color scheme. And so I was like, how about we just get you a nice little tree for upstairs? That solved any problem there. But she had a blast. They had so much fun just doing that shopping together, which is super cute. So I had to get that in here. Then we have decorating the backyard. I just put 2 4x6 photos over here. One of me putting up the lights, another of the lights at night, how they look in the backyard. Have a little border punched piece over here and little strands of Christmas lights. This is a die cut from the reindeer set from last year, a stamp from Close to My Heart, and then more of those trees. So a fairly simple page, and I think having this album done will help me with being hopefully a little bit faster this year doing 10x8 because I have some ideas to look back on. And I realized something that kind of held me back last year is I didn't have sketches. And these just make it so much easier. So I think I need to do myself up some sketches for the 10x8 so that I can have those to look at or at least do some planning and like drawing things out. as well as reusing some of the page designs. So this one for day 15, Isabella made some ornaments and was decorating them for people for gifts. And then I have another stitching page in here. So we have a bunch of like greenery over here, and then the word joy, which I filled with a die cut photo of her. This is another Paige Evans stitching file. Now, something to know about those, if you get any of her stitching files, when you go to size it down for an album, like let's say you want to use it in a 6x8, you can't really size it down because it makes the holes too close together and then it just rips the paper out. It doesn't work. You need to keep it at least close to the original size so that the holes are the correct distance to actually do stitching. I did a chain stitch on this one, so it's like nice and chunky. And then I did just a regular back stitch on this part. Day 16 is super easy. These are some cards that I got from Allie Edwards. They have some gold stars on it and some journaling lines. So I just did my journaling for day 16, and then I have a photo on the back, and that's all I did. Super simple, and that's really all you need. Photo, little story, done. Of course, we can take time and make it fancier and make it bigger, but we don't necessarily have to do that. This was a fun little movie night. She was excited because she got to have like popcorn. She had like meat and cheese and some fruit and stuff on the couch and got to watch a movie while she did that. She thought that was pretty awesome. It's not something we really do very often. And then over here for day 17, I have another minked card. This is another 6x8 page. And she's over here listening to her little Yodo. She loves that thing. If you have kids or grandkids and you're wondering what to get them a Yodo mini. It's amazing. So you get the cards, there's story cards, there's music cards, and they can control them themselves. It's super simple and intuitive. They just put the card in and then they can listen to whatever stories and music they want that are on their cards. They even have make your own cards. It is fantastic. She listens to that thing pretty much every single day. And then I do have a journaling tag in here because I didn't have room on my design. So I just made a little spot for a tag up there. This one here, this pops up. I actually have a QR code under here. And then this whole page was made digitally. So I made this on Canva. Let's see if I can get the glare off there. So I just did a grid of photos on a 6x8 canvas. I found a little, this is how we roll image on Canva, and then did my journaling, printed this all out as one piece. If you're running short on time, putting in some digital pages can be a great way to speed things up because it really was easy to do. But of course we would miss the paper part of things. So that's why I still stick with doing all my lovely paper things because I would miss that if I didn't do it. My journaling card here is minked and stamped and then printed out on the computer. This day 19 was all about Isabella wrapping up gifts and giving gifts to some of the special people in her life. And I had so many cute pictures from this story, but I had to really narrow it down to fit them all in here. Then this side is my girls' Christmas party. So every Christmas, we always have a party, the three of us. We exchange gifts, we make yummy food. Let's see if I can hold this up closer so you can see. Like, look at that. Isn't that so pretty? Yummy food. I made an apple caramel cheesecake. Turned out really good. So good. So thank you, Pinterest. And then this is a flip up. So I'm just gonna have to move this down so I can flip this up for you. And I decorated it with some paper, a little like border die up here. And then I used this label. These are a great way to insert some journaling. These are the foiled frames and labels, Ephemera, and they have different sizes, would work for like smaller pages, larger pages. You could even put a photo on one of these. And they have, you can see there's a couple layers in there, and that's because there's this one that has the white with the frame printed around it, and then there's a separate frame. So you could use those together or separately, however you want. And those ones are still available. And then under here, I have another minked card. the jolliest bunch of elves this side of the nut house. I thought that summed things up perfectly. And then over here, I have another stitching page. So those are all stitched. And then I just put a little bit of journaling here. I stamped our initials in all the stockings, my husband, myself, our daughter, and our dog. And then I put pictures of us decorating the gingerbread house down here. Now, I don't think I mentioned, but I don't necessarily stick to what day something happened. I just put it in wherever it fits. So a lot of things, they all happened end of November and into December, but I just rearranged them however I wanted. Some things are on the actual day they happened, some are not. I know this was the actual day, this one was not. So once you get a little ways away from it, you don't really remember anymore, and it's not really a big deal. This one is where I'm keeping the cards that I was given. Now, sometimes it's harder to do this than other years. Last year, our postal service was on strike. So I had all my cards here that I was getting ready to send out that never got sent out because the post office was on strike, and by the time the strike ended, it was too close to Christmas. And I was like, you know what, let's put a pin in it and do it next year. This year they are on rolling strike, so we'll see if I can get my Christmas cards out. It's on my to-do list to do ASAP so that there's lots of time before Christmas, and hopefully they will get there on time. But I basically made a pocket with 2 triangles of paper. It's glued just around the outside edges so that I can take the cards in and out. So the few cards that I did get are all in here. And I thought that's a fun way to keep the cards, as long as you don't get like tons and tons. If you have room left in your album, and these albums from Ali Edwards are nice and chunky, there's tons of room in them. So I'm hoping to do the same kind of thing this year, where I store the cards that I receive in the album. Over here for story 23, I have some more of that Seasons of Green and Gold, and a gold die cut, and a little tag with our journaling. And then pictures. My friend Michelle surprised us. She brought us some baking, and she also brought us blizzards from Dairy Queen. So we were just sitting around enjoying that, having a nice little visit before Christmas. Pretty simple page. When you have this many photos, it doesn't leave you a lot of room to do anything. So you're really just designing like a 4x6, which works great. I spend more time probably picking, editing, and sizing my photos than I did actually like creating the page. Here on the back side, you can see we have more of that foiling. This is really blingy. It says, "Oh, what fun." And this is also a digital from Ali Edwards. And this is a piece from Ali Edwards as well. So this is like a chipboard piece. It's a little bit on the thick side, but I had lots of space in this album, so I didn't mind using a couple of thicker things like that. Here's another one of those labels where I put my journaling and a little bit of greenery. And just lots of pictures. This is actually the start of the 24th. So this is a multi-page event here for the 24th. So we have Christmas Eve dinner. This was actually in the morning. I let her open one present so that she wouldn't drive us crazy. And here she was playing with the set that she got in that present. I tried to pick something that she could play with a lot during the day and kind of be entertained, because she was just like a little ball of energy. And then still on the 24th, this is where I put my number for the day over here. I always like to include a family photo if I can. Sometimes it's in our pajamas, sometimes we are wearing clothes. Whether it's a little bit more formal or informal, I always try and include a picture of us in front of the tree. I think it's fun to see year to year. Even Frankie made it in there. He's got to make it into the family portrait. And then this is in the evening. So this is Christmas Eve in the evening, and To All a Good Night, that's also an Ali Edwards digital. And Silent Night, that is another one of the minked little strips. And there I have a little picture of Frankie, his little silhouette against the tree light. I love taking photos like that. And I do try and take some more unique photos during December Daily. It's one of those projects where I'm like purposely taking photos. I tried to take some more interesting type ones so I have fun things to work with. And then a picture of Daddy reading The Night Before Christmas to Isabella before bed. So this is just a 10 by 8 photo. I put the "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" digitally on here. So this is printed on the photo. When I did my photo in Canva, I just created the size canvas I needed, a 10 by 8, dropped my photo in, and then put the text on top of the photo and printed it out. And here you can see the bottom part of my tree where the lights went out. I don't think I even noticed at the time. I don't think I noticed until after the fact when I was looking at the pictures. I'm like, look at that, the tree went out. I am not always the most observant. So nice big photo. If you have a lot of nice big photos, I feel like this size album is just the thing to do. Here we go. I repeated that design. So remember from earlier on, I think it was day 2, I had that design with the 4 photos. And here I just have a picture of each of us opening a present. Even Frankie, he's got his head all the way in his gift bag. So I wrap all his gifts individually and put them into a gift bag. And then he just gets to go to town. He loves unwrapping presents. He wants to help us unwrap our presents. He wants to unwrap his own presents. He is just obsessed as soon as he hears like ripping paper. And once in a while, I'll catch him poking around the tree if I have gifts under it. And I can see him kind of like looking at the paper, wondering if he's going to get in trouble if he rips into it. He just loves opening presents. It's hilarious. And then I just kept it simple at the bottom. I didn't even put journaling. It's Christmas morning. So I put all my Christmas Day story over here. This is another piece by Ali Edwards, and this didn't have any lines on it. So what I decided to do was I went ahead and printed out on the Avery matte label paper and then just put it on like a giant sticker. And that worked great and kept it pretty simple. Our Christmas days are really relaxed. Usually we spend the day in our pajamas, opening presents, playing with presents, you know, having a relaxed meal together. We keep it pretty low key and we all love it that way. And then Isabella can play with all her toys and have so much fun. On the back here, I have a photo. This is my husband with the turkey that he was cooking. It's a nice way to back something that you have in the middle like that. Just pop a photo on the back side and it gives you actually a nice big photo too. Now, some years I have ended at day 25. A lot of years I go all the way to the end of the month. Because this was taking me so long, I really debated not going all the way to the end of the month. I have a video that I did actually in July where I was like still not done this project. And I talked about like mistakes that I made and things that didn't really work out and what I was planning to do going forward. So I will link that video. It's in that December daily playlist of mine. So if you want to check it out and kind of hear all about that, that's in that video. But I decided once I started planning things out, I was like, you know what? It's not that hard. I do have photos that I can use. The hardest thing for me is that I stopped writing my journaling. And I tried to always keep a note on my phone or my computer and write notes down every day, at least about what we did. If I can fit in like some thoughts and feelings about it as well, I try to do that. But it's hard to keep up during Christmas season. And so I'd kind of fallen off. As I was getting to the end of this album, I'm like, oh, I should just end it at day 25, call it good. But I decided to keep going and I did go all the way through the 31st. This year, I think I might end at day 25 and like plan to end at Christmas Day or maybe Boxing Day, something like that. But we will see. So I brought in the Everyday Arches. I want to set this die set out to remember to use it in my project this year. I love the arch shape. I think it's so beautiful. And this is the only one I have in this album because this is a newer page that I finished recently. But I would like to remember to use these dies in my 2025 December daily. I have a picture of all the mess in the house, toys and stuff everywhere. This says, embrace the mess, because what else can you do? Picture of my husband playing video games, us playing a game together. That's what like Christmas Day and Boxing Day are all about. This past year, we did an Advent puzzle for the first time. That was really fun, actually. I think it was maybe Julie that gave me that idea to do an Advent puzzle. But I thought this one would be easier because it's like individual squares. You build a square each day. And we finished it up just before Christmas. So this didn't happen on this day. But I thought I would include that because it was a fun thing that we did all season long. I have more minked paper here. This card is also minked. And then this is a puffy wreath from Ali Edwards. I think it was in her Advent calendar. And this bow, you may have seen this bow throughout this album. This is an older Close to My Heart die. I really like this bow, but the bow and the joy are cut out of velvet paper. So I have some here. It's all getting cut up into tiny little pieces. I wish you could feel it. Maybe you can hear it. It is just so pretty and luxe feeling. I used quite a bit of it in the 31 Days of Christmas cards, and I'm planning to use it in this year's album. The greenery, when you cut greenery out of the green velvet, it just looks so pretty. And then this joy die, this is a current one that also I used a ton in 31 Days of Christmas cards. You can tell I had supplies still sitting out from that. That's this one. This comes in a set called Abundant Joy Dies, and you can only get this if you are a Paper Pumpkin subscriber. It is still available, but you have to be subscribed to Paper Pumpkin in order to get that, either like the prepaid subscription or the like month-to-month subscription. There is a sale coming on the prepaid Paper Pumpkin subscription for Cyber Monday, so you'll want to stay tuned for that. So you could get a good deal. Sign up for a set amount of Paper Pumpkin, like 3 months, 6 months, a year. You pay for it all at once and then it just ships out to you. But it's fun because then you can get these extra add-on dies. There's usually a set for each quarter that match the different kits. Okay, day 28, we are getting into the final pages here. I used another sketch for this one. I have more of the little die cuts, ephemera, another minked piece. And this is a design from one of the CDT sketchbooks, as well as this one for day 29. I like this one with the little squares of pattern paper all around the outside. It's a fun way, especially with a collection like this, where all the pattern paper is coordinating really well. So it made for a nice subtle background, and I kept things really simple. I have my photo, I have my number, which is my continuous piece through the whole album. Another one of those foiled frames, and then a little bow ephemera as well. Day 30. So let's see if you can see this. We got Frankie here in all his glory. Several photos of him from throughout the month. These were all from the month of December, just doing different things, mostly cuddling and snuggling, because that is his game. That's what he loves to do, especially when it's cold out. He can be found curled up in his bed with a heating pad on low, or curled up with me, or buried under blankets. He is typically curled up somewhere trying to stay warm. And then up here at the top, I have a whole bunch of greenery, different sprigs. A lot of these are leftovers that I had die cut for 31 Days of Christmas cards. So most of these are all current sets that are available. In this cluster, this poinsettia is from a Spellbinder set, but all the rest of the greenery, the pine cones, everything are from Stampin' Up sets. So Delicate Pines, this greenery branch here, and the layered pine cone I have used a ton. And then this is the branching out dies. I love this set with this little pine branch here, and then the berries, which I used on here. And then I had these large sprigs. This is from the Christmas greenery. So all of these are still currently available. All of them are awesome and great for creating these kinds of clusters. Got this big branch. I love that it's larger than normal. Both of these are quite large, which works so good for scrapbooking. And it's nice to have the difference where you have some smaller, some larger. I think it makes for a more interesting cluster. And then the brown you're seeing here is from the Earth and Tone metallic paper, which is also a current metallic paper that I've been using like crazy. It's a fun switch up from gold foil. I had a lot of gold foil going on in this page, so I think it's really nice to have something else that is also a pretty specialty paper, but something just a little bit different. All right, my last page, super simple. You could tell I was so done by this point. It's all digital, so I printed out an enlargement, the 4x10 of this photo, and digitally put my Happy New Year title on there, and then just pictures of us outside. We were shooting off some sparklers, and we had some like little confetti cannons. So we just had a little New Year's Eve party out in our backyard on our back deck and had a really fun time. And I decided not to put the day number on here because we all know which day it is. And it just didn't fit nicely anywhere. And since this was all digital, I felt like it looked better if I just left it the way it looks like this. I am so happy to have this album done. And now I can put that on my shelf and look at what I'm going to do for this year. I love the Traditions of Christmas collection. It is gorgeous. It has a ton of gold foil, which as you can see, I really enjoy gold foil. And it also has some really rich colors. Now, I don't have a full pack of this because I've used it, but I also have leftovers from the scrapbooking workshop. So I think altogether I will have enough. Last year I totally overbought the green and gold collection. So I decided this year I was going to just work with what I have and make that work, since a lot of my album is photos anyways. There's only so much room I have for patterned paper. But I do love how the back sides are so nice and rich. I love the colors in this collection. I think those are gorgeous. And then of course there's a sticker set. So when you buy it, you can buy just the DSP, just the pattern paper, or you can get the paper pack and the sticker sheet together, or you can get the scrapbooking workshop. So you got lots of different options depending on what you want. I do love some of these pieces, and because I'm doing 10 by 8, typically these might be a little bit big for a 6 by 8, but I think they're gonna work perfectly in my album. We have numbers here. I do have some other number options, so I'm not sure if I'm going to use these or not. I have to decide because I want my numbers to be the same. And if I'm going all the way to the end of the month, then this doesn't work. But if I go only to the 25th, this would work. Then of course, I'm probably gonna be bringing in lots of my like sprigs, the ones that I showed you already. I'm excited for these ones. They're gonna make great clusters. And also this set here matches the paper, the Christmas Greenery. And these dies cut out the paper. So let's see, which one is it here? So this one, there's a die that cuts out each one of these little bouquets. And then this one here, die cuts out these. So these are really good size. I think they're gonna work great in my album. And I just love it when the dies cut out the paper. I have already started planning. The calendar setup usually works for me. This is the one I did last year. So I wrote down a whole bunch of ideas of different kinds of stories that I wanted to do. And then as I was planning out what we were doing what day, I just filled it in. And I've already started planning for this year, different activities we have going on. I've booked tickets for a couple things and I've plopped those in. And then as I decide what stories, other stories I want to tell, I'm going to plot those in too, so that as I'm making my album, I can keep track. I can cross the days off as I go if I want to. It just really helps. And this one was a calendar from Linda Loves Creating. I think she's part of the Allie Edwards Prep Day, and she did a new calendar for this year, but I did just my own in Canva. I did something very similar. I'm like, I don't need it to be all crazy fancy. I just need it to be functional. And this, I think, helps me stay on track. I just need to keep up the journaling portion where I actually write everything down. If you want some more December Daily inspiration, make sure you check out what the other creative design team members have created for this collab, and also my December Daily playlist. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you soon with another video.